Hi, everybody. This should be at least the third and the fourth paragraphs of the self-confidence formula. And when I talked to you while I was doing the first and the second, I shared with you a little bit about the mindset of people online who are either very successful or striving to be successful. And I also want to share something else with you, and I can't think of the name of yes, the blog post that's probably about probably 6, 7 back from here, is titled "Hung by the Tongue" or "Profit by It," something like that. Anyway, it happens to be a video of David Wood talking about the subconscious. He's really talking about the words that we say and why it's important to think about the words that we say, the way that we say them, and to be aware that what we're doing is telling our subconscious what we want to accomplish, what it is that we're trying to do. Give it direction, because our subconscious mind has no problem just carrying off on its own, as you can well imagine. I mean, it's in charge of some really powerful stuff, like our breathing, like our driving. So I have kind of started trying to remind myself that more regularly. I mean, I'm guessing we've all heard about that really for years and haven't done too much about it. But I address my self-conscious and let it know when I read the Major Definite Purpose and I read the self-confidence formula that we're in right now. These are things that I want it to operate off of. I'm giving it new information and want it to utilize that information towards my goals. So here's chapter 3. I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Now, as I prepared myself for that paragraph, I kind of got myself all wound up in this story that I realized I didn't even know if it was true, that I had the right characters, that I had the right purpose, the right sentence. So I'm simply going to say that because I didn't have in my mind that either Napoleon Hill utilized this, I'm thinking possibly in reference to his son, who was born with no ears. And if you've never read Think and Grow Rich, at least read that. But there was a time in the last week that I really, really wanted to be a beacon of hope for my son, if there was some way that I could do that. There was a situation going on, and I just felt that he really would benefit if someone could help him really see that there's hope. So I went to a little green grass park near the elementary school just up the street from me, and paced around on the grass underneath the trees and said things to myself like the questions that I had that I was trying to get answers to, but also keeping in mind another blog post that I've done recently also that has information about Noah St. James affirmations, where he talks about it's important, rather than affirming statements that your mind may not accept as true, to perhaps use why or how. And so I use the questions that I have, and I frame them additionally with why or how. Usually, how can I? How can I? How can I find an answer here? I know whoever it was in the original stories simply paced around for like a couple hours saying, I know there's an answer to this. I know there's an answer to this. And so keeping that in mind, I did absolutely believe that what I was doing was the right thing and would bring me an answer, and it did. And I tell you this because sometimes you're thinking, well, what's the best thing I can do for my self-confidence? Just simply reading this over and over every day, or is there anything else? And I would highly recommend that additionally, and if it makes sense to you, I'm sure you won't have a problem doing that. Okay, now the fourth paragraph, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life. And I will never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient, and significant is a word that a couple of us on the call, they're thinking about much, Rich Paul put in for ourselves, self-confidence for its attainment. That reminds me, I want to see if I can get a hold of her and talk with her after just realizing what I just realized. But here it is that he talks about the definite chief aim. And the reason that I said at the beginning with the major definite purpose is that I had confused the major definite purpose and my definite chief aim, spent all kinds of time, like a month, defining and, checking with myself, is this really what I mean? Do I mean something else? And putting together a definite chief aim, but I didn't have my purpose. And so I recommend that you get the free downloads that are recommended a video or two back, and work on your, that'll keep it straight for you. Work on filling in the blanks so that you can do your major definite purpose, and then, of course, work on your definite chief aim, which will become like a beacon or like a, what do they call it on a ship where you're steering that wheel? It will just define for you each day what it is you're doing, and that you're doing it for more than you think of that day, more than you feel like that day, more than your circumstances are that day. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I based my definite chief aim on my passion for something, and then worked around that. And when I go through this paragraph, I actually take the one hand and put it on top of the other, put in a palm out on the one hand, and then putting the bottom of my palm down with my fingers lined up like a log fence or something on top of that, so that I remind myself that my definite chief aim is based on my passion. And what is my passion? It is this. And what does it take to obtain my definite chief aim? Who will I need? What will I need? I think these two paragraphs here are just marvelous for you to really sink your teeth into and figure out. Well, I recognize that a lot of you probably already believe your self-confidence is just great, because that is typical human. That is typical average to think, nothing wrong with my self-confidence. I don't need to work on my self-confidence. I don't have a problem with my self-confidence. So if you're thinking that way, you may want to check that out a little bit. You may want to see how many years of your life you've made the money that you thought you were worth. And some other things that might tell you, possibly, this paragraph is important. I need to devote the time to develop my self-confidence. Because it's when you go through these steps and you do it regularly, and you do it like Napoleon Hill suggests, and like Napoleon Hill found, 500 people who are successful did some variation of it, that is when you have the best hope and the best confidence for being successful and realizing what it is that you desire. We'll go and close this out with the 5th paragraph on the next videotape. Thanks.